rarely do you look at somebody whose shoes you want to fill one day. Did they get there as an overnight sensation? Call me an overnight success if that means 20 years of prep until anybody knew what I was doing.
If I look backwards and somebody would have told me when I was 18 years old, this is what it's going to take to get to where you want to be when you're 57 years old, I'm not sure I would have signed up, bro.
Fame before fortune. Being known is kind of the first step. And then you can go and utilize that platform or fame to sell.
If you don't think being an entrepreneur is hard enough, then try being a celebrity entrepreneur. This is the Celebrity Entrepreneur Show with James Maslow. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the amazing Celebrity Entrepreneur Show. It's a great office hours series of ours, and we're going to be able to explore the unique nuances of not only being a celebrity of different levels. You know, there's just you famous people like me. When I go to a club and I'm with my wife and I'm on the list and I'm like, walking in, oh, sorry, just you. Then there's famous like James Maslow, where he and his friends can come in. And then there's super famous, like the Hall of Fame quarterbacks that I represented, where it's everyone and anyone can get under your name. That's how I devise and divide the celebrity. And
it's in town, it's a back door, it's a side door. Yeah.
And interesting enough, when you combine celebrity with entrepreneurship, I think the divisive or the variant is evaluated by how much money you can lose. So the just you famous guy usually has less to lose than the famous guy compared to the ultra famous person. Anyway, I would love from your, by the way, I met Paulie, a friend of yours, down in at the wedding I went to this weekend, a childhood actor who had the best things to say about you, Mr. Maslow. Speaking of very famous.
The facade is holding then, you know? It's working well. The charade is going great. No, I love to hear that. That's always very complimentary. Matt, to your point though, well, my first manager actually touching on this always said fame before fortune. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, right? Notoriety, whether you're a business or you're a person in the arts and thus potentially become famous by being popular and good at what you do, being known is kind of the first step. And then you can go and utilize that platform or fame to sell, whether it be yourself as an actor, musician, tickets, movie theaters, tickets, or a product. And then the most successful celebrities do both. So I think that's really interesting. And then, to your other point about having enough to lose, man, I mean, I've spoken to you offline, just friend to friend and mentor to mentee about investments. And like, man, if I didn't have the capital to weather the storm, I would have lost a ton of money. And so it takes capital to make investments, and it takes more capital to weather all the potential problems that you didn't foresee and you can't possibly foresee to actually make money. It takes money to make money, but a little more nuanced version of that. So yeah, man, it's a journey. And even though I don't think being famous is something that you really should strive for, strive to love what you do it with a passion, be very well known for what you do, and then a byproduct of that is fame. But for simplicity in this conversation, I strive to get to that ultra famous level, if for no other reason, to have more ammunition, more capital, more ability to weather more storms.
I love that. And inherent in that as well, in a career as a celebrity, as well as a entrepreneur journey as a celebrity, comes a missing component that I try to help so many of the people that I coach, mentor, and teach, which is timing and risk tolerance. It sounds so easy, but when you're an actor, whether you start at your age when you were 5 or 6, or whether it happens later on in life, like some of the more influential celebrity influencers, as they call them today, you have to do a time and risk tolerance analysis. And I see a lot of people make that mistake in entrepreneurship. Obviously, But because of my career and as an agent with Lee Steinberg, the CEO of that agency, and seeing agents and the celebrities and athletes that are celebrities as well, not do a timing and risk tolerance analysis for their own journey. When the average of playing in the NFL is 2.5 years, they're not doing a timing and a risk tolerance analysis when it may take you 20 years of training and exposure to get to where you want to be in your career. It has to have a timing and risk tolerance analysis. You've lived it.
For people who are jumping in and watching or watching on live right now that may have never heard of timing and risk tolerance, how would one, let's say from an actor's perspective, go about in the most basic way doing that?
Yeah. So, a lot of people think that it's easy. So they'll look at an actor and say, oh, James Maslow, he was famous at 22 years old. And they assume that you started when you were 21. And, the way that we find out timing and risk tolerance is we aggregate a bunch of people who sit in a situation that we want to be in. So I look at James Maslow and I say, that's the type of career that I want. And then I reach out to James Maslow and I say, hey, tell me about your journey. When did you start? What lessons did you take? How much were those lessons? How much time did those lessons take? How much time did you practice? All of these different things, because, there are no overnight successes. One of the things I teach, 1,000 steps to get to where you want to be. You never know how long it's going to take for those steps, but 90% of the time, emotion, value, and energy will only get you to 250 steps. And most people will quit before they get there because they don't do a timing and risk tolerance analysis. So it's really easy today because of the accessibility of information of what the timing and risk tolerance is comparatively to somebody that's already where you want to be or better.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think a lot of people truly quantify how people got to where they are. And very rarely, if ever, but there has to be exceptions to everything. Very rarely do you look at somebody whose shoes you want to fill one day. And did they get there as an overnight sensation? It's, call me an overnight success if that means 20 years of prep until anybody knew what I was doing. And I think that's far more realistic, which also is on par with Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours, right?
Very much so. I call it 17 and a half hours on average because it'll take 10 years to get you to 25% of where you want to be. It'll take you another, on average. This is all on average. There's other anomalies to these, but on average, 10 years to 25%, 5 years to 50%, and then another 2.5 years to satisfaction. That doesn't mean you can't go to 200% or 400% again in the same periods of time with it accelerating faster. So that's been a general litmus test when people ask me about timing and risk tolerance for some sort of career. 17 and a half years is about right. And look at, even for football players, they usually start when they're 5, and when they're 22 and a half years old, they get their first contract in the NFL. That doesn't mean they aren't going to take it to 200% with their second contract or 400% with their third contract. As you're in that past the 100% mark and you're starting to see the exponentiality of that growth, and understanding that where you're at today, and we'll kind of tap on this as a last issue. Do you still get impatient? Do you still attach your emotions to outcome? Even though one of the things I love about my life and other people, if I look backwards and somebody would have told me, when I was 18 years old, this is what it's going to take to get to where you want to be when you're 57 years old, almost 40 years later or whatever, I'm not sure I would have signed up, bro. I know I did it, but I'm not sure I would have signed up. For you, do you still, even today, being at least at 100% of where you wanted to be, do you still attach your emotions to outcomes and get in your own way?
Well, I've gotten better about it, obviously, or I'd hope obviously, but I've gotten considerably better at that patience and understanding really truly how long things are going to take, and then doubling or tripling that to make it a more realistic scenario. Of course, I do still get impatient because I'm passionate, because I care. But I'm also very lucky, and this is also by design, have enough things going on that it's not like I am sitting there just waiting on one outcome or one deal. So the fact that I do many different things and I have several other things that are firing, I can have a bunch of irons in the fire, so to speak, and be busy. Heck, even be distracted by all the other things that are working. And then by the time these deals come around, where they come to fruition or they move on or they turn into something else, it doesn't feel like I've been waiting around on them. So I think as we get older, we compile our successes, we branch out, and one cup fills up, start pouring into another cup and another cup, and diversify, so to speak. It gets a little easier because then your entire world and hopefully your emotions aren't tied to the outcome of that one deal. I still get excited. I'm far from perfect, but I also think that's a good thing, because if I don't care about something, I probably shouldn't be investing any time or money into it. So excitement and impatience to a degree, I think, is good, because it's a testament to the fact that you care.
So interesting. I think I have a new tagline for our show is we're looking to expand and syndicate the show into bigger networks. And I will tell you, you will see this show. There's a lot of great interest in bigger places and bigger people. But if you don't think being a celebrity is hard enough, if you don't think being an entrepreneur is hard enough, then try being a celebrity entrepreneur. This is the Celebrity Entrepreneur Show with James Maslow. We're giving the insights on truly the duplicative resistance created in the universe when you are trying to be and live to what you want to become. And that's what James Maslow has always done. I love his shirt, see the good in God, and God is good, in my opinion. And may all of you enjoy the Celebrity Entrepreneur Show with James Maslow. James, any last takeaways or advice?
Man, I literally just flew back last night from JonasCon. The Jonas Brothers invited Big Time Rush, my band, to go and play with them and jump onto the stage. And, I just want to kind of leave with this imagery and this memory from this weekend, which is looking at that group who has been going for 20 years. They're about to do a stadium tour celebrating 20 years of Jonas Brothers. There's a film career there. There's solo careers along with the group career. There's businesses. There's their pizza. I learned a lot about them. I didn't even know. It is a beautiful testament of staying the course and that 100, 200, 400, 800% compound effect, as you were talking about. They're a prime example of getting to 100. To me, is kind of like chapter 1. And these guys are halfway through. They still have a whole half of their lives and half of their novel to write. But they're probably at 1,200% now and still going. And they're passionate, they're talented, they're hardworking, and above all, they're kind. So I think that they're a great example of exactly what we're talking about, and very encouraging and motivating for me.
Well, you're encouraging and motivating to me. And my takeaway is to remind myself of the 1,000 steps, the 17 and a half years on average. It doesn't mean you can't be an anomaly. It doesn't mean don't do your best, learn lessons, and have fun. But regardless of where you think 100% is, it's usually going to take a lot of time. It doesn't happen overnight. And if it does, it'll go away just as fast. Remember that as well. James Maslow, this is the Celebrity Entrepreneur Show. You are the superstar of the show. Back on the road. Where are you going to be next?
Man, I'm trying to stay home for a little bit now, because once I hit the road, in May, I'm going to Europe, and then in June, we start rehearsals. And it looks like we're going to be on the road between the US, Europe, and then adding more dates, and God willing, getting this movie shot for about 9 months. So for the next 5-6 weeks, I'm trying to stay right here as much as I can.
Well, good. I hope I get to see you in April. We're going to be there April 11th and 12th from the Masters. You're invited to the Masters as well. If you'd like to swing down, we got plenty of space for you. And you're wonderful.
Let me see if I can block that off, man. We could get some FaceTime. It's been too long.
We would love it. All right. The incredible James Maslow, thanks for joining us. This is Celebrity Entrepreneur Show. Thank you.